Everybody loves NFTs. You gotta buy NFTs. Time is running out because if you don't buy NFTs, you're not gonna win. It's an easy way to make money. Buy virtual land. There are all these videos coming out, especially on channels like this, that are explaining why you need to invest in this fake currency. There's no exterior forces besides opinion, and people are convinced that this is a sound investment that they'll hold on to for the long run. While I agree with some aspects of the metaverse in terms of there's going to be value in having certain places in virtual landscapes to promote advertising, the notion of NFTs doesn't make any sense to me other than I write a contract. I don't want that contract to be forged or destroyed, so I put it on the blockchain so that it effectively can't be tampered with. That makes sense. When it comes to buying a picture of a monkey, I am so at a loss as to how people see value in that. I don't know why people think that NFTs is the future other than the blockchain's ability for record keeping. That's the only value I see. There was a stream going on about how Square Enix plans to implement NFTs into their products. I don't imagine that it's coming to Final Fantasy XIV anytime soon. You see this with Ubisoft NFT tech called Digits. So they're going to make in-game items that have real-world value. It's effectively CSGO skins all over again. But the notion of NFTs is that, oh, you can trade them and there's value and it's a sound investment. No. This is major corporations jumping on a trend and capitalizing on your ignorance. But you can go ahead and believe that you're a sound investor. Let's hear what Asmongold has to say on it.
Yeah, you have to turn in 55,000 NFTs in order for the servers to unlock the new raid. Wow, I can't wait for the future of gaming. Holy shit. How can so many people be so stupid? So, gentlemen, Happy New Year, number one. And number two, it's not going to be a Happy New Year. And if it is, you're going to have to pay for it in NFTs. Today, or yesterday or so, there was an announcement that came from the president of Square Enix talking about NFTs and video games and their position on such a thing. Now, I know everybody wants to be the first person. They want to be the first innovator.
The opinion of companies is, how can we make money on this? There's real world value to these currencies that people are currently exchanging. How can we take some of that, turn it back into real money? Because that's what's going to happen. You purchase these things with your cryptocurrency, they immediately cash out. You think they're going to speculate? No. They know it's inevitable that certain currencies are going to crash or lose their value. They just want what they can get.
In this space, so they can, in 10 years from now, look down on all the plebs on their yacht full of models and cocaine and think to themselves, they're not as smart as I am. And that's the fantasy that the metaverse and the NFTs are trying to sell you.
Right.
And today, I'd like to look at that fantasy and see how it's manifested itself today in Square Enix.
The big thing is this get-rich-quick scheme. It's the equivalent of a pyramid scheme, but a pyramid scheme takes more work.
So, this is the tweet right here. Man couldn't say Happy New Year without also saying, here's how I plan to ruin video games in 2022. So, this has been an ongoing thing. NFTs and video games have been the new selling point in order to garner the attention of naive crypto bros into buying into this product that they don't actually own because the intellectual property rights and resale rights are still primarily owned by the developer.
Right.
So let's go ahead and we're going to read this article here that was written. I would like to begin by wishing everyone a Happy New Year. The metaverse was a hot topic in 2021, inspiring lively global conversation about what the metaverse is and about what sort of business opportunities it presents. And number one, this is the question that the purchaser, that the consumer asks. Music's loud? Sure. Let me turn it down. What is the metaverse is the question the consumer asks. And what sort of business opportunities it presents is what the people that care about the metaverse are asking. Because I actually don't think that the metaverse is something that people are asking for. I think that you, your brother, your friend, the people you went to high school with, those people aren't really talking a whole lot about the metaverse. They're not thinking about it. The main people that are pushing the idea of a metaverse are the corporate overlords that are looking to sequester and segment away more autonomy of your personal life away from.
Beyond that, the investors who have already sunk their money and are seeking validation for their investment, the only justification for a metaverse is the fact that they've all climbed onto the bandwagon, and the only way that they can leverage their investment is by performing in this space. And if I have the most desirable piece of virtual land, or if I have the nicest NFT, then I get rich quickly. Yeah, so long as the next person is willing to buy it from you. Your ability to capitalize on this investment is only as good as the next fool who's willing to invest the way you did.
From you and into the realm that they can control that is now being called the metaverse. Do not fall victim to this language. Do not be taken advantage of. This is something that is being pushed from the top down. This is something that many people, I don't think, give a fuck about. And I think that the only reason why it's being promoted so heavily is through these companies who are trying to astroturf interest through it by giving people the idea that they can actually make a lot of money off of it in the same way that somebody could invest in Google in 2000 or Amazon whenever it was still a bookstore.
Beyond that, there's no regulation in the metaverse, let alone enough regulation right now. I don't think there's any regulation regarding cryptocurrency. People are taking advantage of a loophole. Corporations are just cashing in on a trend.
This is the fantasy that's being sold with the metaverse. This is the fantasy that's being sold with a lot of these different things. It's the true American dream. Not to work hard and get rich, but just get rich. And the best thing about this is that the getting rich part is done through being intelligent. It's not because you just got lucky and won the lottery. It's not because you inherited a bunch of money. It's because your intelligence, the fact that you are smart and you can see the trends, that's why you made a lot of money. So not only are you richer than everybody else, but you're smarter than they are too. And that is the fantasy that they hope that you're going to buy into with the metaverse.
It's snake oil sales. It's convincing you that you had a great idea until you realize you fucked yourself. It doesn't make any sense to buy NFTs and speculate on something that inherently has no value. The only value in this entire crypto world is the technology behind it. The currencies, the NFTs, the virtual land is all speculation based on your ability to sell someone on your idea. It's nonsense.
That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get you to buy into a fantasy, to buy into a world that you wrongly believe that you have control over. Okay, it's been 3 or 4 minutes for the video, and we're not even through the first sentence. So let's go ahead and keep going. Against this backdrop, Facebook changed its name in October to Meta, serving as evidence that the concept is not a mere buzzword, but here to stay. Metaverse garnered so much attention that 2021 was dubbed the Metaverse Year. Did you guys get the census on voting on what year it was? Who here got the census?
The president here has invested themselves, and they themselves are a opportunistic capitalist, simply trying to cash in on a trend and furthermore promote, because they're in a position of power with a huge IP, promote a product that has no value to garner more value for himself. It's so dumb. And the language used throughout this letter is someone who has drank the Kool-Aid. It's unbelievable, the things that he says. And it's going to hinder really progressive technologies that people are excited about because it's being polluted by greed.
On that, was it only me? Because I remember I got the census and it was like, all right, 2021, is it the COVID year, volume 2, metaverse year, Biden year, let's go Brandon year, right? And you get a B, C, D, and you get to pick the one. Thank God, I picked COVID round 2. This is fucking ridiculous. It's been dubbed the metaverse year. So the reason why this language is being used here is because the language then portrays who is shooting bullshit. There, we're going to go over here. The reason why they're calling it the metaverse year and the reason why they're using this language here is because they want to create the illusion. They want to create the fantasy that this is actually an extremely popular thing. No.
I used to do this on essays in university. A lot of people refer to, there are many people who are saying, no, just you.
Nobody called it the metaverse year. Nobody gives a fuck about it. The metaverse isn't even in the top 10 most important things that happened this year, and the idea of it has been existing forever, that people have just used digitally online as different terms and different worlds, right? The metaverse idea is just a new term that's being used for it. Nobody fucking decided this. Nobody agreed on this. Nobody thinks this is true except for the people that want to sell you to the fantasy that it is. Keep that in mind. I attribute this large part in advances to extended reality technology. I would say I attribute a large part of it, the entire almost part of it, due to, number one, naive people that think that they're going to make a lot of money by being smart, by buying into something that they don't even own.
Smart.
And then the other part of the people are just different people that want to make money off of you. The
Correct.
Increasing prevalence of the cloud.
And that's what I'm talking about when I refer to the president here. Opportunistic capitalists. Not smart, just greedy and willing to sell you on anything to stuff their wallet.
And 5G. Oh, right, the cloud. Cloud gaming, how's that going? Probably just about as well as the metaverse will. More sophisticated blockchain technology and other technological evolutions that have taken a variety of fields over the past several years. This is because these advances are giving rise to services that fall under the metaverse umbrella.
Cloud isn't specifically to do with cryptocurrency. Just to elaborate on that technology, leveraging the cloud, well, it can mean a multitude of things, but not having to install games directly into your storage, but rather streaming them from the internet, you're not having to leverage that. Or there's even cloud computing in the sense where I've heard where you can rent high-powered GPUs or gaming computers that can play games at a high performance level, and then you're only limited by your internet connection. So there is interesting technologies that benefit in some ways, but to leverage them for this purpose is to hinder progression in technology.
The metaverse will likely see a meaningful transition to a business phase in 2022, with a wide range of services appearing on the scene. As this abstract concept begins to take concrete shape in the form of product and service offerings, I'm hoping that it will bring about changes that have more substantial impact on our business as well. So this is really why I don't think the metaverse is going to particularly go anywhere, and it's not really going to do anything. It's because of this word here. Where is it that I see it? Maybe I just thought it in my head. Yeah, let's just look at service offerings. What really is a service offering? Service offering is value. What value can the metaverse provide you, the consumer? How does this help you, the individual? And the answer is that it doesn't. It doesn't help you. It helps them. And it helps people that think that they're going to make a lot of money. It's like people that go to California to pan for gold. Maybe I'll strike it rich. Well, guess
the fact that this has permeated into the minds of so many people has left them speculating in so many ways, because this is fundamentally powered by computing power, and it has caused some of the most ridiculous inflation that we have seen in a long time when it comes to buying computer components. You can't get a GPU unless you're willing to pay 4 or 5 times MSRP, or if you're an extremely talented programmer who knows how to write scripts that can operate a browser on your behalf and make those purchases within nanoseconds as things become in stock, constantly refreshing pages and trying to attempt to buy and fill out the credit card information on your behalf, which is what happens. And then ultimately, people will buy 5 of these GPUs at that high price because they're speculating that the next person is going to be willing to spend that much so that they can get in on the game. They want to start mining their crypto coins. They're going to strike gold.
Guess what? Most of them didn't. And if you're watching this video, you probably won't either. It's the way it goes. Good opportunity to scam people, though. Not that I will. You'll be left behind. And this is what I hear a lot. You said, you're so stupid. Y-O-U-R, you're so stupid.
You're running out of time.
Listen, you don't even know English. What makes you think that you understand the direction of technology? You don't. You're being sold a fantasy that you're smarter than everybody else. And the reason that you're smarter than everybody else is you have a higher understanding of something that you apparently don't even have good reading comprehension of. This is a fantasy that you're being sold and you're being given because it's taking advantage of your sense that you're smarter, your sense that you are meant for more than what you have. You're meant for more than what you've worked towards. This is why you're doing it. It's buying into your insecurities, it's buying into your ego, and it's buying into that feeling in the back of your head that you believe that you're meant for something greater. Even though
people are going to buy into certain currencies, buy certain NFTs, they're going to invest in certain ways, and they're going to hang on because they think it's like a blue chip stock. Guaranteed wins. I'm waiting for the stories to come out that show that people dumped the currency and people hung on thinking it was going to rebound and then lost a lot of money. Some seriously tragic things come about when that happens. You hear about it with the stock market. You hear about it with gambling. That's all this is. This is a gamble. And if you're willing to gamble, you must be very well off to begin with, more than likely. And if you're not very well off to begin with, and you think this is your sure ticket into wealth, I hope that you get out at the right time, because there's a very short window in which this can be profitable, and it's not smart investment. It's hugely risky because you're scamming.
no, you've never done anything to make somebody actually believe that, except for you, and maybe also your mom, all the time. And this is what I'm saying before. You'll be left behind. Oh, well, you need to know more about it. All of these things, all of this language. Compare this with the way people talk about cults. The language, the vocabulary, and everything else. If you had a Venn diagram for that, it would just be one circle. I
Sipping
understand
the Kool-Aid.
that there are values that can be created with NFTs and with blockchain technology, absolutely. But to think that pictures of monkeys and NFTs sold by a company that you don't even own the copyright to are one of them is naive, and you're being taken advantage of. NFTs aren't just pictures, idiot. Well, it doesn't really matter what they are whenever you don't really own them, does it? See,
the only benefit is utilizing the blockchain to eliminate destruction of important documents and forgery or manipulation of documents, because it's got a unique code. You can't alter it. Once it's up there, it's there. When you start to think that this is an opportunity to put some of my money in and it's going to grow, yeah, so long as you can convince the next person to buy it from you, which they won't.
I understand that there's a lot of people out there who, yeah, you just don't get it. And this is
You
what
just don't get it.
I always hear. This is what I always get, is that you just don't know enough. And the reason why people say that is they falsely believe that if you buy into the same propaganda that they do, that you will somehow come to the same conclusion, which is not true.
They're seeking validation for their sunk cost. Their determination to convince you that there's a future in this is them trying to bolster their own investment.
There are some people that read the Bible and they become a nun or they become a priest. And there's other people that read the Bible and they put it down and they laugh. There's a chance and a possibility that what you believe in is actually just bullshit. If you are not willing to question your own ideas and you're not willing to think that maybe I could be wrong, then you'll be taken advantage of by somebody else who has. Any good idea can stand the test of criticism. And the one thing that I've learned with a lot of this stuff is that almost all criticism of it is attributed to a lack of knowledge. And one thing that I've always seen is that the actual arguments themselves are not addressed, especially with the metaverse. Anyone who has actual assets, IROs, EFTs, you own a fantasy playing video games, making millions, you're attached to other people, pursuing a very real dream, you're exactly right. That's why being a streamer or a YouTuber or something like that is the most popular thing that kids want to be nowadays. The top job that kids want to be, it's not an astronaut, it's not a lawyer, it's not a doctor. It's a YouTuber, it's a video game streamer, it's an online influencer. Wow, I wonder what that's going to do to our culture in 50 years. I'm sure it won't be good. Let's keep reading the rest of the topic here, okay? Not in Asia, yeah, in China, number one, number two are like astronaut and lawyer. I'm pretty sure, something like that. Yeah, it's very dangerous, and again, it's people want to money for nothing and chicks for free. That's again the American dream. Another term that gained quick
Basically, everyone wants to be Dan Bilzerian. Is that the name? Doesn't matter.
currency in 2021 was NFT or non-fungible token. The advent of NFTs using blockchain technology significantly increased the liquidity of digital goods, enabling the trading of a variety of such goods at high prices and sparking conversations the world over. I see 2021 not only as Metaverse Year One, but also as NFTs Year One. Given that it was a year in which NFTs were met with a great deal of enthusiasm by rapidly expanding user base. However, we observe examples here and overheard of the overheated trading in NFT digital goods with somewhat speculative overtones, regardless of the observed value of the content provided. This obviously is not an ideal situation, but I expect to see an eventual right-sizing in digital goods deals as they become more commonplace among the general public.
Which means people are buying in because there's been a huge trend. People are posting all over social media how you gotta get in now. So any of this perceived investment growth has been overinflated by people just buy. And when things settle down, all of these people who hang on to their investments are gonna lose you because it'll settle down. To think that there's a future in specific purchases is ridiculous. The only future for this is, as I've said, the technology being leveraged for important documents that matter. And when it comes to who wins out from this, who benefits, this is going to be useful, especially within things like virtual reality. Think about VR chat and having integrated ads that appear inside your games. That's what this helps. This does not help the normal Joe Blow who thinks that, oh, I've got my monkey picture and my monkey picture is going to go up 400 times in value and you're going to sell it to who? It's with any investment, even a house. It's only as good as your ability to liquidate that asset. Mind you, a house is a far more sound investment because there's very little regulation that puts a cap on how much you can earn from that. So you're constantly accruing equity in real world currency.
With the value of each available content corrected, their true estimated worth. So he's saying that basically the market is inflated right now, which is true. There's a lot of like business jargon here, but this is effectively what he's saying. And I look to them to become as familiar as dealings with physical goods. I'd like to ask you all a question, and let's play a percentage game. How many people do you think are investing and buying NFTs right now because they believe in them? And how many people do you think are investing and buying in NFTs right now because they can think they will sell that NFT at a higher price at a later date? It has not.
I would say globally, it's more than 50% of people. So many people are being duped by this trend.
Nothing to do, in my opinion. I think yes, 0.1% to 99.9%. Almost every single person that is buying these NFTs and trying to resell them and hype them up, all they're looking for is someone dumber than they are that they can sell it to that person instead.
Thank you.
And again, I know that there are going to be some people that are a little bit more rational who are going to listen to what I say and say, wait, Asmund, I actually think that the blockchain technology and NFTs can have value. And I think that you're right. But I don't think that value is a JPEG.
Correct.
It's artificial digital scarcity. In other words, it's bullshit. Let's go back over here. And I look for them to become as familiar as dealings with physical goods. To address these changes in our business environment, the medium-term business strategy that we unveiled in May 2020 identified AI, the cloud, and blockchain games as new domains. Do you know why these companies want to use the cloud, by the way? Because it transfers ownership of video games and of products away from the consumer.
Which is what I was saying. I mean, the products that I was referring to earlier on, the games themselves, where you don't have to even install them, you just pay a fee and you stream it. Furthermore, with computer technology, because even right now, you see that you can't buy a GPU at a reasonable price because all the scalpers are trying to sell at 5 times MSRP to satisfy people who are trying to mine crypto. And so you're forced to use the cloud in order to rent a gaming PC so that you can play your games. So you don't get to own anything anymore. Everything is on the cloud. You are effectively just having to go to an agent for everything that you want virtually.
It once again removes your autonomy. It once again removes your ownership of what you have, and it takes it away from you, and it turns it into just another license. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm a little bit sick of owning a license to use something whenever 20 years ago I just bought the thing outright. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. And I'll tell you one thing is I think I'm not the only person, because whenever I look at all these comments, whenever I read all this stuff, this is what real people are saying, and they are fucking sick and tired of it too. We all are. And that's why whenever an article comes out like this, or a statement comes out like this, of course it's going to attract the attention of the naive, the FOMO buyers, people that they go and they buy. You probably listen to these same people 20 years ago talk about how they're buying Beanie Babies.
The scammers who got in first, then the FOMO buyers who were convinced by the scammers, and then the rational people who won't buy. That's the order.
And now they're sitting in their closet collecting dust. You're inside your own bubble. Sure, the reality is that they're not real. That's the reality, is that they're not real. Your mounts have NFT value. No, they don't.
What?
You're
Are we talking about mounts in World of Warcraft? You can't even trade those. Once you commit them to your character, that's it. And usually they're bind on pickup. So what are you talking about? That's just a one-way purchase for a virtual useless item.
so stupid. They don't. They absolutely don't, because the game controls the way that you can transfer them and use them to other people. They control the entire framework of the system. It doesn't matter if you're holding on to the receipt whenever they tell you that you can't get a refund. Think about it for just a few seconds. Isn't value 100% subjective? Let me give you a few examples. So if I can go to the, well, you have the Mona Lisa, right? Extremely valuable. There's only one of them. Everybody knows the Mona Lisa is special and important and valuable. Go down to your local thrift store and look at your t-shirts and find the t-shirts for Pastor Robinson's Baptist Revival Group 2017. And you're going to see that that shirt, there's probably only 10 of them in the whole world, and it's on the dollar rack. Just because something is rare, just because something is uncommon, or there is scarcity for it, does not mean that it has value. Just because something has scarcity does not create value. The value is circumstantial. It needs to have a function and a purpose or some form of impact that it's made. JPEGs do none of that. Then it wouldn't be considered rare. Yeah, then it would not, all value is circumstantial. You're right. And
Yeah, and those circumstances have been well documented. It's called economics, supply and demand. You're generating demand based on a fantasy. There's elasticity in products that exist, and this product has it's like an artificial elasticity. No matter the price, your only ability to liquidate the asset and actually make money, real money, that you can convert into buying the things that you need to survive, is your ability to fool the person who's going to buy it from you. And they would be a fool, because to buy something from you that has no value is putting the onus on them to then find another fool. It's such a useless way to leverage this technology, and it's all based in scamming.
to somebody out there, that shirt is probably worth $1,000. You're definitely right. But it's not worth $1,000 overall. And that's what I'm saying before. And this is all, it's all FOMO, man. The fear of missing out. The fear of not being the person that bought into it early. The fear of not being the guy that invested in Bitcoin in 2012. Invincible, though? Theoretically, this seems like a good idea. Theoretically, without actually thinking about it, it seems like a great idea. However, let's use the example of Invincible, and let's
When you try to contradict people who have bought in and think that they know everything there is to know. Their arguments will often be a means of belittling you, trying to make you feel stupid, trying to make you feel like you're not well researched or that you're not understanding their points. You need to realize that they're just bullying you to, again, bolster their own investment, to validate what they've done. Because buying NFTs is nonsense. You're in on a trend, and that trend will ultimately go away. There's nothing to be gained from this. If you manage to make money from this, if you become very wealthy, you have effectively scratched a lottery card that was a winner.
Talk about this. Do you own the intellectual property? No. Do you own all of the different autonomy? Devices are also making performance gains. As these trends continue, I believe that content that we provide will become more accessible, making it more likely that our consumers will discover enjoyment as we gain new touch points with them. Touch points, you know what they're touching? Does anybody know what they're touching? Guess what they're touching? It's called your wallet. They're touching your fucking wallet. Listen and pay attention to vocabulary like this. Leveraging cloud technologies is extremely effective as a means of making our content and services uniformly available and as a catalyst for creating new forms of excitement that expand upon the content development capabilities for which we are known. As such, we will be making ample investments in the cloud space. I think cloud gaming probably has some degree of relevance, but it's just not really there yet in terms of the technology. So like, what the fuck does that even mean? What this means here is extremely effective is making our content and sales uniformly available. What they mean by uniformly available is that they completely control the way that it's available. Again, these are improvements that are being made without the consumer's consent and without the consumer's approval. Yeah, these are things. This is not being done with the best interest of you, the player, in mind. Lastly is blockchain games.
And that's the thing. People need to take a step back and think, why is Square Enix interested in this? Is it for you? Is it to make their games better? Is it to improve their services? No, it's to satisfy investors, real money investors who have put stake in Square Enix to find ways to make money, to improve the value of their stock. What do? Oh, there's a trend where people are willing to spend money in a fake currency that we can convert into real world value. So every time they pay us, we'll cash out and we make money. Yeah, they're just finding every possible way that they can make money from you. Of course, that's what corporations are for.
Be they single player or online games, games have traditionally involved a unidirectional flow whereby creators such as ourselves provide a game to the consumers and play them. By contrast, blockchain games, which have emerged from their infancy and at this very moment are entering a growth phase. The growth phase that blockchain games are having is because venture capitalists and like angel investors are investing into every single one of them, hoping that eventually one of them will turn out to be the game that mints the next Bitcoin.
They don't have any vested interest in the games themselves. They have a lot of money already. They see a trend and they think, okay, I'll put a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there. It's like diversifying your portfolio. Some stocks will lose, some stocks will win. Ideally, you come out with a net gain, but they can afford to lose it.
Yeah, this is artificial. It's completely artificial. I can't believe so many people can be so stupid. It's unbelievable, man. It's speculative. Yeah, it's completely speculative. Exactly. It's .com hype. It's not. The thing is, you would say it's a bubble, but it's like everybody knows it's a bubble, so it's not a bubble. It's just a fever dream. Let's read the rest of it. Why can't you believe it? It's actually a good question. Are built on the premise of a token economy, therefore hold the potential to enable self-sustaining game growth. See, this is what I find to be so odd. The premise of a token economy and therefore hold the potential to enable self-sustaining game growth. I don't see how these two things are related. I really don't. I have no idea. What about NFTs that have unique properties like allowing you to access art shows or showrooms in real life? Like the artist gives them access whenever they have the NFT as a code, which you give access or something like that. Do you mean?
That's what I've been discussing, is that there's value in the technology to prevent forgery, but people will still find ways to forge what you would inherently try to keep as your own investment. in that case, there would be somewhat of an expiry. Having some kind of virtual gallery that you can visit, I don't even understand the platform in which this person is referring to. Like, they're just talking about an idea. You can use it for things that make sense. I was watching the stream before, and he's going to say concert tickets. But when it comes to actual contracts, like you make an agreement with someone and you want to make sure that that contract remains intact, that people don't question its validity in how it was originally written, that's value in blockchain technology. When it comes to, oh, I made a JPEG of a monkey and turned it into an NFT, so now, only people with the NFT specifically can view it, where's the value in that?
Like whenever you buy a concert ticket and then you print it out and you go and they scan the ticket? Bro, what? Oh my god! NFTs are the future! They can make them into tickets! It's just unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Everything will be NFT. Yeah, sure. As I said, I've made this clear before. I think that the idea of it is interesting. However, what's produced with it is not. It's kind of like the idea of a printer is amazing. Like, oh, wow, you can print something out. You don't need to have a printing press anymore. It's just a digital printer. But whenever the digital printer prints out a picture of a banana, it's not worth anything. Well, it was made by this incredible technology, and it's, look at the capabilities of this. Oh my god, amazing technology. Wow, look at this. Like, yeah, that's super cool, but all you have is a sheet of paper with a banana on it. The driver that most enables such self-sustaining game growth is diversity, both in how people engage with interactive content like games and their motivations to do so. Yeah, people...
I want to stress the fact that I'm hiding the chat because this entire conversation devolved into one type of person. I've invested, and so I'm angry about what you're saying. Number two, I don't know anything about this technology, but I'm just going to keep guessing without doing any research. And then there's like a few of us in there that actually know what's happening, and we're like, yeah, Asmongold, we know. But we're still interested in the conversation because we have input on it too. And he's absolutely right. The technologies, cloud technology, 5G technology, leveraging blockchain technology, all valuable. What's coming out in the early stages of these technologies? Ridiculous.
Engage with it. There is a lot of diversity. There are people that are trying to make money,
Yep.
and then there are then there are people that are trying to make more money by buying the things from the people that are trying to make money and then selling them to people that will buy them for more money because they also want to make money. You understand?
What's happening as a byproduct of all this is what I'm saying about GPUs, graphics cards. People want to mine crypto. Scalpers know that there are people who are demanding these video cards who are willing to pay exorbitant prices for them. So they're buying them out, they're selling them off to other people, and then those people are speculating on these cryptocurrencies using all their graphics cards that they can afford because they can afford the loss if it all crashes. It's all artificial inflation. It's all snake oil. The value to be gained from these investments is only as good as your ability to convince people of the value. And if you take a step back and realize that there's no value in buying a picture of a monkey, then you realize that they've made a mistake, unless they're very good at convincing people, which people are easily manipulated. So there's value to them.
Yes, that's about it. Scalpers, yes, they're effectively scalping. That's actually a very good parallel. I never even thought of that. So advances in token economies will add further momentum to this trend of diversification. I see the play to earn concept that has people so excited as a prime example of this. So has people so excited. Do you guys remember the that article, that bullshit Wowhead article that was written where it was like, oh, people are saying, oh, there's been a lot of talk about this. This is not true. Where is this? Who asked? Where are these people? Nobody knows. A lot of people. Has people so excited? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. All of the feedback for this is negative. All of the actual non-curated by a non-curated by a corporate entity.
Anything that hasn't been censored, is what he means.
Feedback on this is almost universally negative, and the only people that are positive about it are people that have a picture of an NFT as their profile picture. You know? Come on. I recognize that some people who, quote, play to have fun. Is this now a term? This is now, I'm so glad now.
Because it's such an obscure idea nowadays to play for fun. Nobody plays for fun. They only play if they're addicted or if there's an opportunity for them to benefit. Like these high-level executives of game companies are so disconnected from their products and services that they only see dollars.
That the gaming industry has turned play to have fun into a term and a subset of people that they're trying to make products for. Oh, I'm sure that's going to make video games so much better.
And I mean, you think about World of Warcraft as an example. There are people who play to have fun, and then you have people who are treating it as an investment. The investment is buying the account, buying botting technology, gold farming, selling the gold, converting it into real world currency. That is what games have become now. People trying to figure out ways to exploit things that are meant to be fun for real world gains.
Imagine having fun, and who currently formed a majority of players have voiced their reservations towards these new trends, and understandably so. However, I believe there will be a certain number of people whose motivation is to play to contribute, by which I mean to help make the game more exciting. This all feels like an MLM. Well, yeah, it is. Yeah,
Pyramid scheme.
It is. But
for those who don't know, MLM, multi-level marketing, which is the new term that came about when people were annoyed with being told that it's a pyramid scheme. There's been so many iterations of this. Now it's gone virtual.
The difference now is instead of your high school friend that fell off and now mows lawns, now it's your YouTube influencer friend that fell off 5 years ago and is now starting an NFT line. So it's just...
Yeah, like the Save the Kids coin that turned out to be a scam.
Online. But don't worry, it's still being peddled by the same losers. That's why you have so many of these content creators and so many of these people who will they'll fucking put out a new coin. They'll put out a new NFT thing, right? Something like this. And they'll push it out to all their followers because they're pump and dumping them, man. They're use the code, get this in here. Like that's all there is to it. Like they're trying to use these things to make money off of their fans, make money off of their viewers. It's a Ponzi scheme. Exactly. That's pretty much what it is. Let's see here. MILF coin. Remember that? That's really cute. It sounds funny. And kids are stupid enough to buy it. I wonder how many kids got an NFT for Christmas. Back in the day, we used to just call that coal. But now if your parents get you an NFT for Christmas, I think that's a little bit better.
Someone in chat said coal actually has a use. That's true.
Sad. All right, let's see here. I believe that there will be a certain number of people whose motivation is to play to contribute. I find this to be... I've seen what play to contribute does. You know what play to contribute does? It turns other video games into retail World of Warcraft, where everything has a monetary value. All of the things that you accomplish in the game are distilled down into their real world money value. And nothing has any sort of, there is no integrity that is preserved. There is no unique...
There's no fulfillment from anything that you attempt to accomplish in the game. I recognized this early on when playing Classic. Botting became prevalent, earning gold to exchange gold for real-world currency. The reporting system doesn't work, so people are obviously going to do it. You want to go to any sort of instance, from Van Cleef to Maradon and beyond, you have to pay gold. You buy runs. You can't organically create groups to run through instances anymore. You go to Maradon, you pay a mage to do the special farming technique, and you just keep sinking money into gold buying. People refuse to recognize how pervasive this has become in video games, in online technologies. All of this is just people's desire to be opportunistic and take advantage of others. Doing it in a virtual space, especially in the metaverse, is effectively exploitation with impunity.
Uniqueness of the individual or the accomplishment. Everything is itemized down to its dollar value, or in this case, its token value. This is what's happened with World of Warcraft. You mean in any game? No, I don't mean in any game. Because New World, yes, you can buy gold. And in Final Fantasy, yes, you can buy gold. But it's against the rules. So whenever it's not against the rules, everything is turned into a spreadsheet. Everything will be turned into a spreadsheet, and the fun that you have in the game will be calculated. You will be optimizing your fun per hour. Specifically talking.
And the people who have the most fun are the people with the most wealth.
About user-generated content, though, not mount drops or whatever. User-generated content. Like what? You mean like the mods and things that people are making already right now? More skins? Oh, good. Fan art. Oh, that's great. Like the AQ Gates opening concept. Yeah, yeah, you have to turn in 55,000 NFTs in order for the servers to unlock the new raid. Wow, I can't wait for the future of gaming. Holy shit. How can so many people be so stupid? Traditional gaming has offered no more explicit incentives to the latter group of people who are motivated strictly by such inconsistent personal feelings as goodwill and volunteer spirit. This is not even true. People have Patreons for setting up mods all over the place. Yeah, it's not even true. You had so much of this kind of stuff. Yeah, quest reward as an NFT. What the fuck is this message? This is not a... You have to understand that the reason why, you have to pick up on this, is the reason why so much of this language seems completely disconnected from what makes sense to you as an individual is because it's not for you, the individual. It's for the shareholders. This is a message that should have gone out to the shareholders. This would have sounded great if you owned stock in Square Enix. Absolutely. Because most of the shareholders don't know shit either. Take a look at Sandbox Game. Their whole thing is blockchain, and you can make your own games and sell them to people. It's actually really yikes. So I don't know about that. I've never seen that before, which probably goes to show how good it is. Gamers, get rid of microtransactions. Devs, oh, you mean you want NFTs? Yeah, there it is. Isn't MMO already a metaverse? Yeah, I think to some degree it is. It depends on how you define it.
The way it's being referred to in this context is very specific. The metaverse is a virtual space in which capitalists are operating.
And that's what I was saying before about how the idea of a metaverse was being used before. Yeah, people already had Patreons and other ways to monetize what they were doing with their mods and everything. The fact is not unrelated to the limitations of existing user-generated content. User-generated content has been brought into being solely because individuals' desire for self-expression and not because of any explicit incentive existed to reward them for their creative efforts. There's a lot of people who make money off of their mods. Like, you could say this, you could use this exact same article, and this exact same line here, in order to define why people make YouTube videos, but everybody knows that's not true. Yeah, there are people that make user-generated content for free because they think it's fun. But a lot of people that do it, especially the big ones, do it because they make money off of it somehow or another.
In some cases, it's fun. In this case, I have things to say. I want to add insight because people are constantly being duped by this trend, and I want to at least be able to warn the 5 people who care to watch this, because to think that you have the ability to quickly make gains in something that doesn't have value unless you convince people that it has value inherently has no value. You need to understand that there is nothing to be gained from this, and your lack of participation will ultimately show the true colors of why this is not a good idea.
See this as one reason why there haven't been as many major game-changing content that were user-generated as one would expect. How about DayZ? Let's see, we have DayZ. How about a lot of the Minecraft stuff? We just got
Skyrim.
done. Yeah, Battle Royale in itself. How about Dota? Yeah, there's another one. Dota, it's huge. Let's see, what else is this? All of the add-ons as well. Auto Battler Chess, Roblox, GTA RP. This is just, again, it's creating a need that does not exist. And also, it's on a false premise, too. Like, the whole thing, it's bullshit to begin with. Counter-Strike started as a Half-Life mod? Oh, I never heard that. Yeah, I didn't know that, actually. Japanese companies want some of that money. That's exactly it. That's actually a really good point, Loco. Is because these companies, they see what happened whenever a user makes great content like this, and they make money off of it. And you know what these companies think? They don't think, wow, how can we empower this user to make more money off of the content? They think about, how can we take 10%? How can we get 5% of that? Because do you really think that there's not going to be a service fee? Do you really think that there's not going to be a way that they're shaving a little bit off of the top? Well, of course.
Because their justification is, well, you're using our intellectual property in order to make gains for yourself. So either we permit it and take a cut, or you don't get to do it at all. And for a long time, it's been you don't get to do it at all. And people just do it anyway, in the case of GTA RP, and they hide behind the guise of, well, we're accepting donations. We're not taking money from people. We're not charging fees, and that's what makes it okay. But the moment that, Rockstar recognizes GTA RP as someone taking money away from their intellectual property in a legal sense, they'll enforce it.
Of course there is, and that's why they're pushing it. However, with advances in token economies, users will be provided with explicit incentives, thereby resulting in not only greater consistency in their motivation, but also creating a tangible upside to their creative efforts. I believe that this will lead more people to devoting themselves to such efforts and to greater possibilities of games growing in exciting ways. Great, so they're basically creating fake currencies for people to get happy about being paid inside of.
Which is ultimately a customer retention strategy. If we give them rewards within our ecosystem, then they'll continue to produce within our ecosystem.
That's amazing. I'm so happy about that. From having fun to earning and contributing, a wide variety of motivations will inspire people to engage with games and connect with one another. It is blockchain-based tokens that will enable this. Well, then, if it's only enabled by blockchain-based tokens, then how is it happen? It was happening before. Why do we need this? Why is this January 1st or April 1st? I wish it was April 1st. Tomcat's actually a great example in chat. Tomcat's made a great add-on for World of Warcraft. I've used it for years now. It's Tomcat Tours. Do you make money with your add-on, like through a Patreon or donations or something like that? Do you need NFTs? Do you need to be paid in NFTs now? Do you want to be paid in pictures of monkeys? Maybe we can pay you in pictures of monkeys from now on. I'm probably going to face bankruptcy soon, to be honest. Well, I don't blame you, man. You're working your ass off on the game, and the game's fucking dying. You probably should do something different. Honestly, I don't blame you. Yeah, I hope you can get your shit together, man. It sucks. It actually fucking sucks. Well, I mean, WoW's losing people. There's people like the Deadly Boss mods had the same thing happen. But again, like the reason why...
Converse to the pyramid, when you think about people like Tomcat who create mods, his ability to make any money, again, has to come from donations, because if he charged a fee, Blizzard could effectively sue him. You're using our product to make money. That's not allowed. You agreed to not do that. So he has to take donations only, which you can imagine the average WoW player just takes the mod and doesn't donate. Here's a pool of players in the original vanilla WoW, slowly shrinking until eventually there's nobody, and you have maybe one person who donates $5. So the incentive to continue creating these mods for World of Warcraft is suddenly vanished. There's no incentive. The motivation is purely, I want to make the game better for myself and other players, which is all well and dandy, but how does he feed himself? So this notion is under the guise of promoting wealth for players, when ultimately the biggest gains happen from the people who own the IP, because you don't own any of the games anymore. As it was said early on, you own a license in order to play the game, and you agree to an endless amount of terms within an end user license agreement, and nobody reads the fine print about what that entails, and it leaves you extremely limited as to how you're able to benefit from it. But the ultimate idea of a game should be fun, shouldn't it? Oh, no, that's just a term now. That's just a buzz phrase. Play to have fun. Everyone plays to contribute now.
Why that's happening to him. I want to explain why it's happening to him. The reason why it's happening is because you need an economy this big in order to support somebody like Tomcat's Tours or somebody like Deadly Boss Mods, right? So you need it to be this big. But whenever the economy gets smaller because the game loses relevancy, which is what will happen with these games too, it always does, then whenever it gets smaller, those people can no longer exist in the space anymore because they can't rely on the every 1 in 1,000 people will give them $1 because there's only 5,000 people and they're only getting $5. You see what I'm saying? Because he doesn't get paid. Yeah, and he wouldn't get paid with this either, because the entire way that he's getting paid is through skimming it off of the top from some people that choose to donate and choose to support. You understand? And so whenever you have less people, wow, I was fishing and there's 5 fish in the lake. I didn't get any fish. But whenever I fished in the lake with 500 fish, I got 2 fish. No shit! Because there's more fish! You understand? Bring money into video games makes it a job and not a game. Yeah, that's pretty much what it does. And it will also, as I said, it will itemize everything that happens in a game, and it will remove any innocence or escapism from the games.
Yeah.
That's what it will do. How much?
It's turning games into work, which for some people, games already are work. But when you introduce the ability to make real-world gains within a virtual space, you completely undermine the notion of a game in the first place.
Would an NFT fish be worth? Probably more than the real ones. By designing viable token economies into our games, we will enable self-sustaining game growth. It is precisely this type of ecosystem that lies at the heart of what I refer to as decentralized gaming. And I hope that this becomes a major trend in gaming going forward. If we refer to the one-way relationships where game players and game providers are linked by games that are finished products as centralized gaming, and contrast it to decentralized gaming.
As someone who's invested in this means of making money, I hope it becomes a popular means of gaming. What? I hope this becomes a major trend in gaming going forward. Spoken like a not gamer.
Then incorporating decentralized games into our portfolio in addition to centralized games will be a major strategic theme starting for us in 2022. Yeah, I think this is like kind of an idea that they were trying to do with like Hytale and a few other games too. I'm not really sure how far this is going to go. Personally, I don't think it's going to be that far. And I think that, yes, these are buzzwords used to create the illusion that this is the future. Yeah, that's basically it. These are buzzwords used to create the illusion that this is the future. And what happens here, and I'm gonna read the whole thing, and then I want to talk a little bit more about this. Okay, like that, it's not decentralized. All it means is that Square Enix will be making shittier video games, and letting modders make it better, and the companies will reap the rewards. Yes,
correct.
That's effectively what's going to happen. To an extent, that's what's going to happen. Yes. Basic and elemental technologies that enable blockchain games already exist, and there's been an increase in the societal literacy and acceptance of crypto assets in the past few years. We will be keeping a close eye on societal shifts in the space while listening to many groups of users that populate it, and ramp up our efforts to develop business accordingly with an eye to potentially issuing our own tokens in the future. You know,
meaning if this isn't popular, we'll bail as quickly as possible. Don't worry, shareholders. But if it does take off, don't worry, shareholders. We'll make as much money as we can.
I saw what you could do with these things. They're the Crystal Brave tokens. Yeah. Tombstones, but they're real. Back in 2012, a lot of people might look at my original going offline screen, or my offline screen for my my main channel, my Asmongold channel on Twitch. And you'll see down there youtube.com/virtual exchange. And do you know why I wanted to do virtual exchange? You know why I had that name? It's because back in 2012, I wanted to make my own cryptocurrency trading website.
Opportunistic capitalism.
Where I could do exactly this. Where I could shave money off of the top for transaction fees, and I could provide a hub for people to do these things. And do you know why I wanted to do that? It's because I knew how easily I could take advantage of people. Because I was a scam artist for the entire beginning of my adult life. And now I only scam people out of subs whenever I don't stream on my main channel. To be honest, I'd probably be very rich if I had done that. which is actually not true because the chances are I'd probably be in jail. I saw this 10 years ago. That's why I made the website. Scamming people was my only one true passion in life, besides jerking off. And it's what I would wake up in the morning and think about. How can I scam people? How can I take advantage of them? How can I get them to give me money for doing nothing? And you know how I thought about doing it was making a virtual exchange. And here we are 10 years later with all of these companies finally figuring it out. Our lifestyles have changed, and we're learning to coexist with COVID-19. Against that backdrop, I believe that the new technologies and concepts that I've discussed and the changes that they bring to our business environment will provide us with numerous opportunities to enrich the shareholders' value through digital entertainment, which is at the core of our business. This, at the same time, means that we are seeing the beginnings of further leaps towards our business. We remain connected. Yeah. As I said, the true American dream, the true thing that almost everybody nowadays growing up in the Western world wants to believe and wants to have happen to them, is they want to be the person that doesn't work hard and get rich. They want
numerous opportunities to enrich people's lives through digital entertainment by creating a space in which the digital entertainment is only as good as the people who are willing to play to contribute, creating, developing, and providing world-class content to contribute to the happiness of society and its people. Yeah, because everyone's really happy in this COVID-19 environment that we have to exist in. Happiness for your wallet, happiness for your investors, nobody else.
want to be the person that gets rich because they're smarter than everybody else. And so all of these companies and all of these people sell people on the fantasy that you're smarter than everybody else. You're going to be the person in 10 years that's on a yacht with cocaine and hookers, swimming around and sailing to the different islands in the Caribbean because you were smart enough to invest in their own tokens 10 years ago. This is
inflating the egos of fools.
a fantasy that's being traded for people, and they're giving their real money for it. If you can give somebody a fantasy and you can tell somebody how something will change their life, and not only change their life, but elevate them among their peers, that's something that has more value. That fantasy has more value than any reality, because a fantasy can always be bigger and better and more extravagant than real life. And that's what this thing does, is it sells people on a fantasy. It sells people on an idea. But we've already had this idea. We've already had this fantasy before. We've seen what WoW tokens do to an economy. We've seen how the real money auction house affected Diablo 3. This isn't some kind of grand new experiment. This is something that's already had many use cases before, and it hasn't improved the player experience at all.
It's so prevalent in mobile gaming. We have seen someone who, if I recall correctly from the interview article, there was a game, it wasn't Clash of Clans, but something to that effect, where the guy was spending monthly between 50,000 and 70,000 euros. Imagine having a level of wealth where your disposable income was allowed to be put towards that. And think about that money spent in a meaningful way to benefit society instead. But instead it's spent on a game. I can't respect it, but it is what it is.
This is something that doesn't help the individual. This is something that doesn't help the average gamer, the average player, just your average Joe who comes home to just enjoy video games. This is something that helps the companies, and it's something that helps people allow themselves to be taken advantage of for cents on a dollar, and allows them to effectively pay people slave labor wages in order to do work and make their own games better while they make billions of dollars off of your back.
Why hire developers when you can get developers to do it who are incentivized by their passion and their willingness to volunteer?
You're the sweatshop now. No more media tours for you? Oh, fuck that. I bet half of the people in the fucking Final Fantasy game agree with me. I bet they agree with me. I bet Yosu, I don't know how to say this guy's name. I bet this guy agrees with me. He's like, ah, fuck, he got us. Ah, damn. He got us. He's like, yeah, it's probably true. But, you know, we can make a lot of money off. I mean, yeah, I bet he gets it. He's not stupid. He's a fucking president. Not dumb at all. He knows what he's doing. So you're mad that they're doing a business practice that others cannot. It's called capitalism. Everyone in this chat would do the same if they had the chance. You're not in reality. You're in your own bubble.
That's why laws exist. That's why the notion of the metaverse is a loophole for people to take advantage of what would otherwise be regulated. And governments need to step in and say, you're not allowed to do this.
Okay, we have the NFT Andy made another comment. You're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. There are a lot of people who, if given the chance, if you had to push a button and it would kill somebody on the other side of the world but would give you $1 million, how many of you would push the button? I would argue to say 95%. Just because somebody would do something if they were in a situation doesn't mean that they should, and it also doesn't mean that they won't. There are a lot of bad things that people would do if given the right circumstances. And the way that you prevent that is through laws and regulations that make those circumstances impossible. And what I'm seeing here is that these laws and regulations are not catching up and are not keeping up with technology. And let's be honest, we're still using DMCA from 1998. The politicians and the Congress and the president, these people are too fucking stupid to even know how the internet works in the first place.
Agreed.
Much less, they can't understand Web 1. How the fuck are they going to understand Web 3? They've got no idea. These technology companies are running circles around them. These people...
The only advantage they would have is that if you tried to explain value in this metaverse, they would agree with the sentiment of there's no value to this. Why would I want this? That's the only advantage they have. Their ignorance would prove why this is a useless thing. So I think what's important is that they get experts who understand the technology, who understand why and how it's being exploited, and then create laws around it so that if everything's being tracked by the blockchain, it's easily traceable and people can be punished for it when they use exploitive methods of taking advantage of people.
People can't even use their fucking email. They're so far behind. And the people that lose out on it are us. Putting out a word salad buzzword statements, not fully understanding the future is par for Square Enix. Well, it's fine. I mean, as long as the game's good, I don't really give a fuck about, like, if it's the token thing. I don't really give a fuck. It's not going to go anywhere. It doesn't matter, right? Oh, I think it's funny. Like, I'm mainly entertained by pointing out their folly. It's not that it's even something that's upsetting me that much. We alternate between 80-year-old presidents. Yeah. You either have...
What's upsetting to me is just the people who jump into chat and say, no, this is the future. This is a good investment. This is, like, you're stupid. I'm going to make a ton of money on this. It's not because you're smart. It's because you're taking advantage of a trend.
I have a president that fucking, I'm not going to get into politics. You know what? Let's not even get it. It has nothing to do with it. This is a problem for everybody, and it's a huge issue. Okay, let's just say that. Corruption this year has increased drastically because the government is referring properly. Corruption is going to just get worse and worse because the awareness gap between the government and regulations is becoming larger and larger and larger. And on top of that, the people are being more easily controlled by social issues, and it allows them to create misdirection through social issues. And what they do is they say, oh, wow, look at this really bad thing that happened. And then everybody's thinking about this really bad thing that happened, and they're not thinking about the other 500 bad things that the companies are doing. They've got everybody fighting with each other, not seeing that this is happening. Special interest groups, yes, exactly. Dismantle corporations? No. You just need to have a governmental...
Dismantle corporations? A lot of people think that this argument is anti-capitalism. Without capitalism, there would be very little incentive for people to innovate and create technologies that are progressive. What needs to happen is a healthy dose of regulation so that people don't abuse and take advantage of people. That's not anti-capitalist. That's just looking out for people who otherwise are ignorant and get taken advantage of.
Agency, a governmental apparatus that is competent. Corporations are not fundamentally bad, but they will get there. Anything is bad if you don't give it control. It doesn't matter what it is. Anything is bad in excess. You have too much water, you fucking drown. You don't have enough, you're dead. There's a million food. If you eat too much food, you're gonna get fat and die. But if you don't eat enough, you're gonna die too. You see what I'm saying? There are a lot of things that are good in moderation.
Moderation. That's the word I was about to use. So, I mean, you can say it about anything. This chat needs moderation. Different sense of the word.
Many things are good in moderation. Most things, I would say, are good in moderation. The problem is that the government is supposed to create that moderation, and they haven't been doing their job. I can see people, you know what, I see this happening. You know, but what is the practical outcome of this? The practical outcome of this is
corporate
people
profit.
playing these video games in order to create content for these multi-billion-dollar companies, getting paid on these tokens that are worth less than tickets at Chuck E. Cheese. That's what I think it's going to be. Why is it up to the government to create moderation? Because they have the guns. They can shoot people if they say no.
The people who enforce the laws? Hello?
What do you mean? That's why the pen is mightier than the sword. Yeah, that's spoken by somebody that hasn't needed to use a sword. Who asked that? I think that there are people who are anarcho-capitalists, right? Who think that, you know, if you have no government, that there will be no monopolies because fair trade and free trade and these types of things will just work themselves out, right?
Yeah, let's have anarchy. That's a good idea. Spoken like someone who would get smoked if there weren't police to protect them. Like, why do you think we function as a society? There are deterrents in place.
And this doesn't happen. How many of you guys live in a place where there's only one ISP? How many of you guys live in a place where there's only one ISP?
Here, there's two, and they're constantly at war with each other to have as much exclusivity in areas as possible. And then every other company that exists where people say, oh, I pay less, they're discounted brands that are leasing off of the two major players. We pay some of the highest prices for internet in Canada, and we don't get the value of choice. We just get the facade of choice.
Me? How's your service?
Shit.
How's the pricing? Not
Terrible.
too good, is it? It's shit. Why would you possibly want to compete with another person? So this is like, I learned this in business school. One of my only good professors said a price war doesn't help anybody. And he's right, if you don't count the consumer. And that's how they think. So back in Siege of Orgrimmar, every single time that a new guild would clear Mythic Garrosh, Heroic Garrosh at the time.
And when people talk about a price war, they're talking about constantly lowering the price to gain customers from the other in the market. That's the value of having as many players in the space as possible, is because that happens in a more incremental sense. Do the companies lose out? Sure, but they're probably making enough as is, and they don't need to be charging the prices that they do. And they only do because they can.
I would message them. Congratulations, man. I'm glad to see you guys have finally made it, and you've cleared the raid. We usually sell the mount for 800,000 gold, and we were hoping that you guys would be willing to sit at that price too. And we never had anybody say no. Price fixing? Of course. My dad, whenever I was a kid, at Blazer Laser Tag, anybody who lives in Austin, he sat next to me in the waiting room while they were explaining all the rules. And there was a sheet right there. It was a big board or a poster. And it had all of the things not to do. My dad points over at that board. He says, you see that, Zach? I said, yep. He said, those are all the things you got to do to win. I won. There's a reason they made that shit illegal. It's because it's really fucking effective. Yeah, it's because it is really, really fucking effective, man. They let me press the big button in the laser tag room. Not trying to brag or anything. Yeah, like cover your thing, kneel down, like everything, man. I always win, cause I cheat. That's what happens. And if you can cheat, everybody's gonna cheat. That's the way it goes. Cheating to win a game.
That's why you need regulation, because people will exploit and not think about the other guy.
Game is what makes the win meaningless. That sounds like somebody that didn't win. And that's why you need to have actual rules, and you need to have accountability. And again, I think that this is, again, selling a fantasy to naive people who believe that they can have a future in a world that doesn't exist. There's an old quote from George Carlin. They call it the American dream because you have to be asleep to believe it. And this here is the new American dream.
Rest in peace, George Carlin. A man wise beyond generations.
Wake up, boys. You're being fucked. I've pretty much said all I have to say.
And when it comes to this idea that you stand to gain from making these investments, it's a matter of time before you get got. So think about that and sell while you can. Dump it on some other fool who's far more convinced that this is the way of the future, because it ain't.